All right, Husky. Just casually more than halfway through split four. We're back at it again. Rivals Runback week 4. How are you feeling tonight?
Feeling good. Feels like the season just started. Crazy that we're already halfway through at least the regular season. Feels like we're really starting to get to know these teams a little bit, get to know these players a little bit, and it's turning out to be thus far a pretty good season. Expect some surprises though along the way. Through the first 3 seasons, we've always had some surprises, and I think this one's going to have the same thing.
Yeah, still feels open. Still feels like still have 3 weeks left, so everybody still has that playoff hopes are still alive. Maybe a couple teams getting close to teetering that line, but yeah, just over the halfway mark. So 4 weeks in, 3 weeks to go. 8 teams, two don't make the playoffs. Um, and this is the week that rosters lock, I believe. I think on Saturday night. Um, we'll see if any teams opt to use that deadline or not. But yeah, I thought there was some other boring admin stuff, but maybe not. I have one or two people to check, I guess, in the DMs and whatnot, but no official roster changes. I don't think so. Yeah, week 4 was interesting. I don't know, were there any offhand anything crazy happened? Obviously, we streamed a match between two of the top 3 teams, at least as far as what most people would say. That was one of the longer 2 game series I think we've ever done, and that was a good one. But see if I can actually maybe pull it up and people can see what happened.
Yeah, I think
Um,
there was a couple games that maybe weren't exactly what was expected, but um, no, nothing too crazy. Just yeah. I mean, at the top, Double Decker stayed undefeated. Still haven't even lost a map this split, so obviously target on their back right now. Defending champs bounce back. New Origins Hanmoon second overall. They 2-0'd the number 3 team, Mint. And then, that puts them at 2-2. And we have a bunch of teams at 2-2 there. CB Monkeys, Toro Rosso 2-1 over Big Baller. Uh, Moving them up. I think a lot of people were expecting that to be close. I think it could have gone either way. I don't think it was all in favor of Monkeys though, but they definitely showed up and showed out in that matchup. MBN, the other team other than Big Baller, that is now the 2-2, and they're on a 2 game win streak. They went from not winning anything. They made a roster split. They are now up to 6. They would be in playoffs. They beat Ninjas 2-1. I think that was a good battle. Shows which team is really poised to make playoffs, and the other one could possibly struggle to get in. I think it's too early to say for sure that they won't, but um, MBN winning that really puts them in the driver's seat for that. And then, unfortunately, our buddies down there in the 8th spot, War Legion, we mentioned, did were O2'd by Double Decker and still have not won a map so far this split.
so far, but there's still time, right? They've only changed their roster about 17 times, so uh, and I think I do have War Legion as number 1 or number 2 toughest schedule so far. Uh, is that an excuse? Maybe is that just I don't know. We'll see. They still have 3 weeks. I think they still have like you know 2 of the bottom 3 teams to play at least. So I think it's well within their control to come back around. But yeah, I mean a bunch of 2-2 teams. I don't know. I mean they're all to me pretty similar. At least as far, I mean, pretty close to each other. I guess as far as how they're uh, playoff hopes outlook is looking, I guess. I think there's a kind of a clear top 2 right now, but we can get into that as we get into the power rankings. But there are your standings through week 4. Still expected to move around and whatnot, but you just have to be in that top 6 to make the playoffs. Of course, you want the top 2, number 1 seed and number 2 seed, both get buys in playoffs. Round 1? Yeah, something like that. So automatically top 4, I guess. So there are your standings. I mean, I guess as far as the results go, I mean, was there anything like, would you say there was any upsets, or you think it's pretty like, all that kind of makes sense?
Yeah, I think Monkeys over Big Baller maybe could have been a slight upset. I think MBN and Ninjas was a toss up, could have gone either way. Same with New Origins Mint, could have gone either way. So nothing like absolutely crazy. Like how did that happen? Like the week before when MBN took down New Origins, crazy. But you know, all around, good games. Nothing too crazy, but definitely showed us where some teams stand currently.
I agree. So that means next is going to be the team power rankings. I think. Let's see if I got it up there. How much does it really differ from the standings? I guess there's a couple that are flipped around. I think. Well, no, there's a few actually. There's 4. So it's really 1, 2, and 8. All or 1, 2, 3, and 8 are all still the same from the standings, and it's kind of that middle pack of that changes from the standings to the power rankings. Yeah, I mean we have World Legends stayed at 8, Big Baller falling down to 7, Ninjas hopping down to 6 from 4, Monkeys finally getting a little bit of respect. Finally here, week 4, MBN as well hopping up to 4, and then Mint, NOH, Double Decker, the top 3 have been, I feel like, top 3 most of the split. Yeah, I don't know. This is going to be, I think it's just really going to be a battle for who gets the 5th and 6th seed. Or maybe the 6th seed, which is, I guess, what we want to see as, admins, casters, or fans, I guess, just watching in general. It's, you want every week to count. So the goal is always to go into week 7 with everybody having a chance to make playoffs. We'll see if hopefully War Legion doesn't let us down there and keeps their playoff hopes alive. I don't think they have to win this week, but it's gives them a lot better chance. It's not in their control if they lose this week, I think. So, but yeah, I mean that's what we came up with the power rankings. I think 1 and 2's like makes sense. I assume that they probably won't change until they play each other. If I had to guess, obviously 2 and 3 flipped because of NOH winning. But I mean, really, I'm looking at MBN and Monkeys. I mean, do you think they're top 6 lock for the rest of the split? You think they locked in playoffs, or is it like after 3, everybody else is a toss up?
Yeah, I think it's probably a toss up, but the way that MBN has played these last 2 weeks, it makes you want to say they're locked in, that they're definitely going to make it. I mean, they look pretty good the last 2 weeks, but you can't deny the fact that they did not look good the first 2. I know it's a different roster. I'm just not quite ready to lock them in. And then for that 5, 6, 7 spot, I think that's definitely a toss up. Monkeys showed out this last week. They proved that they should be in the playoffs. And I think the big thing right now, though, Big Baller, they're technically tied for 3rd in the standings, and they are 7th in the power ranking. So, you know, put this on your bulletin board if you're on Big Baller. We definitely don't believe in you, seemingly, but you did beat Mint. You have shown that you can play with some of these better teams. Just maybe not at the top of your game, and you just need to turn some things around. But I think it's possible.
Yeah, I mean BBG obviously. I think back-to-back losses. I think. Granted, it's
Yeah.
against the number 1 team, and then a 2-1 loss. So, yeah, I'd agree. I think it's gonna just come down to a battle for that 6th spot, which is gonna be interesting. Granted, I think if War Legion loses this week, I might just say, unfortunately, they're not gonna make playoffs. But It's in their control this week as I think they play Ninjas. I think top 3 are locked. Top 2 are locked for playoffs. Top 3, top 4. I'd put Mint and NBN I think have very high chances. I think Monkeys have a solid chance, and then Ninjas and BBG I'd just toss a coin on them. But yeah, there you go. Power rankings not too many changes, but a couple more weeks to really shape that one out. But okay, enough of the boring stuff, right? Who cares about teams? It's all about the individual players. What role should we do next? Power rankings, all 5 roles on the board. And then after those, we'll wrap it up with predictions. So, nobody cares about the roles. Eventually, I'll just get to pick one, right? It's one of those. Most important role first? Okay. Someone say.
Taking it back to last split, we did support every single stream first last split. So,
That's because they were on top of it, or Poodle was on top of it. It was Poodle, right?
yeah,
Maybe
it
a
was
couple other
brutal.
people.
Yeah,
But all right. Support power rankings. 4 weeks in at 8. Gonna stay 8 is gonna be Onset. Luigi gonna fall a spot to 7. Perfect timer gonna drop down to 6. Mario hopping up to the 5th spot. Laquan, despite a win, is gonna drop 1 spot, largely due to Star Ravenfire's win, who hops all the way from 5th to 3rd. And Sauce and Sprite's Gamut gonna stay at 1 and 2. Notably, Mint lost their game 0-2. Sprite's going to still stay in that number 1 spot. I think it's the first one to point out. I think their bot lane is, I'm not going to say definitively the best in the league, but I think week to week, it's looking like they have that number 1 spot solidified. Now, do you care about being the best lane, or do you care about winning? It has to translate at some point. But nonetheless, going to still stay at 1. And Star Ravenfire, I hated to see them drop all the way to 5th. Used to seeing them in the top 3, so kind of back where they belong, I'd say.
yeah. Definitely the big thing is it is very, very rare. This might actually be the first time that I ever remember someone that lost a game being ranked number 1 in a power ranking the following week. But I mean, we got to cast that game. We did see that although Mint lost the game, I'm going to just come out and say it. It was not on their bot lane. Their bot lane dominated those games. They, played incredibly well. Sprite's definitely deserving of that. So even though they lost, played very, very well. And then after that, Sauce hasn't lost a map yet. That's got to mean something here. Star Raven played very well, got back into the winning groove. MBN, Laquan, they're just 2 weeks in a row really showed out. Then over there, Mario, they played pretty well. I think had one game that maybe wasn't the best, but showed out in a couple other ones. You could say perfect timer, maybe copy paste about sprites. Team it did not really succeed, but War Legion's bot lane has been pretty solid. And then unfortunately that leaves Luigi and Onset there. Couple rough games for them in the support role this past week.
Yeah, to me, 2, 3, and 4 are all super close. I would even say not too big of a gap, and you throw Mario in that conversation as well, because I think they had at least 2 really solid games. At least 1 perfect game on the Karma. And then Alistar, I've seen Alistar like more this split than I have any other split. So, but yeah, I think those are all really close. To me, Laquan didn't even really was more of stayed the same, and Star Raven hopped up. I think 2 really good games, I think, out of the NBN bot lane. Maybe it was one of them that was the reason. Yeah, the Milio game, I guess. But then again, the whole team, what can you do on Milio if your whole team's just, not doing too much, but enough to still stay top 4. And then, Luigi and Onset, I think maybe to me 6 and 7 were pretty close. Onset, not even the worst week ever, but not better than anyone else. And pulled out the, I think it was Onset, right? That pulled out the Camille support. If I do, I'll
Yeah,
find
that
it here.
was
Gotcha. I
that
mean,
was
not
different.
like, yeah, not even like they look like they got kind of close to winning the game. Not the worst showing. I mean, obviously got the 80 carry going. Um, just interesting pick, just interesting one to pick out just for no real reason. But um, thought the Pantheon super fun support to play, but not always the best for competitive play. So it was enough to keep them in 8th. So um, yeah, I think really, I mean, obviously we said other roles are more stacked, top to bottom, but um, this role, I'd say, you could argue like it's a battle between like 6 people week in and week out for the top 4 spots. Um, just because I think it's all pretty close, and we'll see if someone can eventually catch Sprite's Gambit. They're obviously 2-2, and it might just take one of those weeks where they lose and their bot lane doesn't do super well. Maybe that happens. Maybe it doesn't. Who knows? But we shall see. All right. That is the support most important role power rankings through 4 weeks. So we've crossed the halfway point. At least as far as regular season goes. Next role, what should we do? 80 carry, mid lane, jungle, or support, or none of them. Jungle, the most stacked role, some would say. And there were a couple of these roles where, this week we were pretty close. I feel like on a lot of them. Like maybe we had like 1 or 2 flipped. Um, don't remember which ones, but maybe we'll see as we have jungle power rankings at 1. Gonna stay 1 is Righteous. Dibsy hopping back up into the number 2 spot. Unique Frosty back up into the top half in the number 3 spot. Zhao into the 4th, up from 6th after their win this week. Rexcat with their loss gonna fall from 2 to 5th. Spartan gonna drop down to 6th. Iplock gonna stay at 7, and Tropical Beauty coming in as a sub for the WL roster, and it was once again a tough week for them.
Yeah, and this is probably what you're more used to seeing. Like if you've watched these power rankings, you got the 4 winners on the left side, the 4 losers on the right. I mean, jungle's really that role that just impacts the whole map. When you do well, your team tends to win pretty well, and unfortunately, when your team tends to lose, it's probably because you as a jungle maybe didn't have your best game, and we see that reflected here. Uh, you know, the only 2-0, or excuse me, the two 2-0s are 1 and 2, and yeah, uh, then you get into had a couple good games, but maybe one game that was off, and then over on the right side you get down to maybe had one good game and 2 games that were off, or maybe just unfortunately did not have a good looking game this week.
Yeah, for me, I think the top 3 was pretty clear. I mean, some people maybe could argue 2 and 3 could flip, but I think 1 through 3 I feel good about. Number 4 probably as well. I mean, obviously there's uh, a bunch of question marks around the Lucian jungle pick.
I
Did
was gonna say that probably cost them at least one spot just by picking that. To be honest
didn't
with you.
if it works, it works, and then it's cool. But if your team loses, in 26 minutes and 28-4, and maybe not saying that's the reason, had the most kills, but hey, you always get to point out you know, the unique champs whenever they lose, and then Rexcat falling those spots. I think it was a mix. One of Dizzy and Unique Frosty both playing very well this week. The Nocturne, I just felt like there was more to be desired on stream, and obviously with all these roles, it's you get the magnifying glass. Um, if you played well, obviously we're sitting there watching all of it. Not that we didn't call into work today to watch all 12 games or whatever it is, but we did that.
Totally with that.
Um, yeah, I think it was really the Nocturne game that knocked them down. I really didn't hate the Volibear game. Obviously, the early ganks didn't really work out in their favor, but um, that's okay. Their bot lane fared fine despite volley or multiple ganks early. But still top five. I'd say maybe 5 and 6 were pretty close for me this week. And then 7, 8 was maybe you could flip them or whatever, but pretty much a lock for the bottom 2 for now. Yeah, I mean, I don't know. Are we gonna see some shakeups in the top 3? Some people were whispering that as we see these double decker players, who have they really played? That's why they're all at the top. I don't know. That's what people were whispering. I could have said this similar, I guess, for NOH last week, but now that they've played one of the other top 3 teams, Dibsy being in top 2, I think 1 and 2 were really close for me. But we'll see whenever they eventually play each other.
Yeah, no, I agree. I think it was throughout these, we were ranking you off of who you've played, what you've played. Definitely something to be said about Double Decker not playing a top 3 team yet. I think the only team in the league that has not played a top 3 team. But we can only judge them by the games that they have played thus far, and they have looked really good. They've put away the teams that they're supposed to. They haven't even lost a game yet, so maybe it doesn't hold up if they face another top 3 team, but thus far, all those players looking very good for Double Decker.
True, and I feel like I've seen I guess maybe I thought about this because I said it earlier with Alistar, seeing a lot of Mundo jungle this split as well, as I think 2 or 3 people played him this week. Fun fact of the day, not super relevant. Okay, that's what you got for jungle power rankings. 4 weeks in, still 3 weeks to go before we do all the awards and all that fun stuff. But okay, what do we got? 3 left. 80 carry, mid, and top lane. 3, I guess, carry roles, if you will. Top lane. Look what we got here. Through 4 weeks, a little bit of a shakeup as we have Storm at number 1. Finally, BK's falling to 2 despite a 2-0 win. Averted at 3. Hopping up from 5th, Alcoholic dropping down to 4. Noto at 5, gonna hop up 1 spot. Dude Caleb gonna drop 2 down to 6. Lord Beach coming in new to the roster for WL, gonna slide in at 7th. And Linksy dropping a spot despite a win. And so you could point out 1 or 8, both being interesting topics. I think 1 through 3, as far as just who's there, I think I'm pretty confident. I feel really good about. 1 and 2. I mean, both teams won. Both teams won 2-0, and obviously it's that magnifying glass thing as we got to see Storm. Now I'll say it was always been kind of like a 1A 1B, at least for a long time, right? And it still is, like, to me it's still a 1A 1B. Almost would say this is wrong and BK should still be 1 because of how many times we watched Storm close his eyes and walk into the jungle on the Vayne. But for me, it was enough to see, 1, how he popped off on Silas, but also what he did in lane on the Vayne didn't even translate to Vayne kills. It just allowed his jungler to get, like, unkillable. He played against who we have at 6 now, so I should put a lot of weight on that. But you can maybe make the argument that we have BK's at 2 who played against who we have at 7. So to me, still 1A 1B type of situation, but I don't know. We'll see if can it flip again, or was it gonna stay like that until they play each other finally?
Yeah, I mean, there's definitely something to be said. BK's got the 2-0, hasn't lost a game yet. I think there's also something to be said that I don't remember a game that BK's had more kills than deaths in a couple weeks, I think now. So he's doing what his team needs. He's winning the game, but there's something just about being flashy. We talked about, the Vayne Storm, definitely mispositioned a couple times. Even with that, he still ended up with more kills than deaths in that game. Popped off on the Silas big time. So BK is maybe more steady week to week, does what it takes to win. But Storm with the big plays this past week, gonna be big enough to jump up to that number 1 spot here.
Yeah, and BK's Fed game 1 against WL, so I don't know. That's probably the real reason. That or really, I mean, I don't know. If you look at both games, it's like obviously played solid and they didn't get close to losing their game, but since we got to see Storm on stream, I'd say super impactful early. Averted at 3, I feel like has been top 5 for a bit. I don't think what played, maybe missed a week early in the split, but lost and hops up to 3. I think is a staple on their team as far as like their win con, at least consistently. Obviously, their bot lane can do really well as well, but even in their loss in that game 3, looked to have played really well. That's why I think it's Averted slotted in at 3. Alcoholic's been a staple in the top half of the power rankings every split that they've played. It feels like. Um, maybe I don't remember if maybe fell at one point earlier this split, but despite a loss, still gonna stay in the top 4. Did fall a couple spots, but a lot of the time that comes with losing. Not for everybody, as we've seen already tonight, but just not the maybe the best showing. I think 2 of the games were a little rocky. You could make the argument that 4 and 5 could flip. Wouldn't hate that. Toss a coin, maybe personal preference, who knows, or blame Husky. I don't know. Dude, Caleb at 6. We say fell from 4 to 6. I mean, I think hopped up from like 7th or 8th all the way up to 4th. So, was it an overreaction? And this is a correction, or I don't know. We just, I guess, again, the magnifying glass type thing. And 7 and 8, hey, I'm not saying who put who at 8. All I'm saying is Lynxie did win. I don't remember if it was
Sure.
1 game or 2 games that were questionable, but I maybe similar with Lord Beach. So I think 6, 7, and 8. Toss a 3-sided coin and you just put them in any order, and it might feel correct. But I think there's a gap when you talk the top 5 and the bottom 3.
Yeah, I think one of the things with this top lane, and I'm just seeing it week in, week out, we have a lot of weak side tank players in this league. We have a lot of people consistently going 3 and 3, 4 and 4 every single week, every single game, without actually sitting there and watching the trades and seeing who's taking good trades, who's up 5 CS, who's freezing waves. At the end of the day, everyone's stat line is looking pretty similar here. When you play carries and you pop off, you are going to jump up on this list. You know, weak side just doesn't get the love in the power rankings, but if you win games, does it really matter?
True. So we're just handing out style points for playing fun champs. All right, noted. No. Yeah, I mean it's
Yeah,
stuff.
that's what I do
There's
at least.
yeah, exactly. Just like 360 no scopes type thing. But Lynxie, I don't. I think it's a toss up. I mean, I think if he ended up sliding in at like 6, I think most people would be like, okay, no problem there. So I think it's real close. I think as their split goes on, as they're, I don't want to say getting better, or maybe it's just better results as a team. I think Lynxie will climb the list. I mean, there's stuff like a 3 and 9 Shin isn't flashy, but 16 assists leading the team. So stuff like that. It's obviously we can see to an extent, but KDA doesn't mean everything. It's all about winning the games, right? But yeah, there you go. Top lane, probably the most spiciest of the night, if you will. But a lot of people still haven't played each other, as we still have the 3 weeks. So we'll see as we have the 2 carry roles left, if you will. Some people would say, unless you just play a scaling mage mid every game like I do, then it doesn't really count as a carry role in the mid lane. But 80 carry mid, any preference, if no preference, we'll just rock one. And all right, Husky, what do you want if you beat the person in the chat?
All right, let's go mid. Save the best for last.
Save the worst for last. We will. A mid lane coming up next Salo and Willie gonna flip flop spots at 1 and 2. Astro Boy gonna stay at 3 after their win. Pandorum as well gonna stay at 4 after their 2-0 victory. And then 6, 7, and 8 all kind of just slide down as Millie Bobby Brown hopped up from 8th to 5th. I mean, I remember last week mid lane was one of the toughest ones we've ever had to do, as it just felt like everybody was incorrect. So I kind of expected Millie to hop immediately up from that 8th spot, even though I do think 5, 6, and 7 were all pretty close. Obviously, Pandorum's always the wild card on ranking somebody that has just like it's very different champ pool than the others. Not always has pulled out some. I didn't pull out the Aurora. I think we've seen the Ari as well. So kind of a 50-50 there, but they got the 2-0 win. And then yeah, I mean back to the top 3. I think it's back-to-back weeks with the same top 4, I guess. But really, top 3 could have flip-flopped in any kind of way. Salison and Willie. To me, I think it was the game 1. I think Salo went deathless, maybe perfect game. I think that's why got the nod to hop over Willie. I mean, yeah. So got the 2-0 win. Willie's team, the 2-1 win means a little bit. I think had 2 solid games as well for Willie. Maybe it was one that was, yeah, okay, yeah. We can close that one on. We don't have to look at the Rise game anymore, but was still enough in the other 2 games to stay in the top 2 spot.
Hey man, I'm just saying, if you had a Lucian jungle, you would probably feed too, mid. Just saying. Not his fault. But yeah, when we were rating these, I think this was the closest with our 2 ranking CB. I think we were almost exact. We had 1 position flipped here, but very, very close in our mid lane rankings. I thought that after this past week, it was pretty clear. Not too much to argue about with this. Like you said, maybe you could say 1 and 2 flip. Maybe you could say 3 and 4 were flipped. Maybe 5 and 6, maybe 7 and 8. But I think it's just semantics at that point. This just seemed like a pretty cut and dry, easy rankings right here in the mid lane.
Yeah, I'd agree. I don't think there's like a huge gap. It's to me between like 4 to 6. Obviously, 4 and 6 played against each other, and you could kind of maybe coin toss it at least like in the game 2. KMZ came online kind of late in game 1 just by nature of champions. Really team fight taking choices and stuff like that, but I still think it's the middle pack is definitely a pick your poison type thing. To me, I think it's the biggest gap on this list. Maybe in my opinion is between like, is it between 2 and 3 or 3 and 4? It's somewhere in that range. And maybe it's just between 2 and 3 for me. It's the top 2 have separated themselves a little bit, but and I don't even. I mean, they've already played each other as a team, but they didn't lane against each other. So it'd be interesting to see if they end up playing against each other in playoffs or something like that. But yeah, I'd agree. I think this role and another role we were like maybe one off, but yeah, there you go. Mid power rankings. That must mean, I guess, if we have to, we'll do the 80 carry power rankings at 1. Gonna stay 1. Evil Fallen even after their loss. Saint Nash gonna stay at 2. Key, the rebranded RAR player, gonna hop back up into the top 3. Kills gonna slide up from 8 to 4. I am Nunu sliding down to 5. Hayden at 6. Riley Sauce 7. And Sniper. It was fun while it lasted, Sniper, but eventually the team has to have some results. And gonna take the brunt of it here and gonna slide down to 8. And you pick which one you want, where you want to discuss first.
I let's start at the top. I like working in order here. I mean, Evil Fallen 0 and 2. That was not Evil Fallen's fault. This guy, I think, what was it, 70,000 damage in a
80.
loss? Like, what can this guy do? He put the team on his back, and they were just all too freaking heavy. Holy moly! Evil Fallen, you know, I'm gonna say it right now. Front runner for MVP right now. This guy is looking like could be the best player in the league if his team can get it together and help him. For the love of God, please do that. He is playing out of his mind. Um, Saint Nash, we keep saying it, double decker. These guys just don't lose. I mean, they might not have played the best, but they're taking care of business. They're looking good doing it. Saint Nash, definitely no stranger to looking good. Uh, Put up another great week, 4 in a row now for him. Key, I mean, I'm just surprised that Key fell all the way to 7. To be honest with you, not sure exactly what happened. I felt like the whole team kind of just like took a week off when they played MBN. Maybe MBN's that good. Maybe NOH is just didn't try or something. I don't know, but no surprise seeing Key bounce back up there. Kills, definitely probably had sneakily one of the best weeks for monkeys there. I mean, we had a 10 kill Corky game, 7-2 on Caitlyn, 6-0 on the Ziggs. I mean, I'm just gonna say I didn't know a lot about kills coming to this league, but I'm pretty sure I knew that you don't let that guy have zigs, and they still did and paid the price for that. So solid top 4 over there. Definitely all good players. On the other side, like you said, well, I'll start at 8 there. Sniper. I mean, Sniper's been playing pretty well, but you got to have some results. The team keeps losing and losing. It's not going to work out for you if that keeps happening. Riley now, same sort of thing. Riley and Hayden just ADC, as I can talk for all ADCs here. When your team is not playing well, when you're struggling, it is really hard to be successful as an ADC. That's why Evil Fallen's even more impressive. But Hayden and Riley going to take the brunt of that with their teams losing. They're going to drop, and I am Nunu. A little bit of a drop there, I think, more so because of how the other players, specifically Key and Kills, played. They just played out of their minds. Nothing bad against Nunu, but just those two really played great and were able to jump ahead.
Yeah, I think. I mean, this week everybody had at least one really good game, excluding Sniper, unfortunately. So, I just think the gap like from 4 to 8 in the last couple previous weeks were fairly close-ish, to where this week would just kind of bump them ahead. So, don't think there's like a huge gap by any means. At least maybe the bottom 3, but. Yeah, no, I think Riley Salas had one. I think Riley and Hayden both had one really solid game.
Yeah, they both had to pop off.
And then Nunu, I think, had 2 good games. Maybe it was the Hue. Was it game 2, maybe? I think, yeah, the Hue game. Oh, yeah. Again, I guess we're putting it all on Lucian Jungle, right? That's the fault. That's the problem. That's why they dropped 2 spots. But
Clearly.
yeah, I agree. It's because 3 and 4 just hopped up. And people were whispering that it's Kills has been underrated the whole time. So getting some respect here, jumping that far ahead, with 3 solid performances. So 1, yeah, I'd agree, pretty much solidified there. 2, 3, and 4, maybe 2, 3, 4, 5 are actually all pretty close to me. And I expect maybe them to flip around here as we play out these last few weeks. Yeah. 80 carry power rankings. That's what we got for power rankings. But of course, everybody cares about our opinion on who we think is going to win in week 5. And I'm gonna go first, but I'll pick something. I won't pick anything too crazy.
Okay.
I'm just gonna go MBN versus BBG. Yeah, it feels like maybe my answer would have changed week to week. Are they both 2-2? I think. But yeah, how the last 2 weeks have been going, I'm just gonna ride out the momentum. Not gonna overthink it. I'm gonna go MBN 2-0.
Yeah. I don't think that there's any way I can copy paste that. Uh, both 2-2, but MBN on a 2-game win streak, BBG on a 2-game losing streak, and ever since the roster swap, MBN looking like the real deal. Big baller. I don't know what you had those first 2 weeks, but you need to find it again. You got to find it fast, but just don't think it's going to happen this week. MBN 2-0 for me.
Okay. So you can't copy me again. You can go first this next one.
All right. Let's take something a little bit more spicy here, possibly. Something that people might disagree on. I'm going to go to the upper right-hand corner here. We got Double Decker versus Mint. Currently 1 versus 3. This is the first time Double Decker is going to face a team that has been ranked top 3 in the power ranking. So might be their first big test. Mint just coming off against a loss to New Origins, could be hungry, could be looking for an upset here. I don't think they get it, but I do think that they hand Double Decker their first loss. I'm going Double Decker 2-1.
Oof, okay. Man, every answer feels plausible. Like, I wanted to go 3 games as well. Wasn't sure who I was thinking. I mean, I guess I would try not to copy paste you. I mean, my concern for Double Decker here is their bot lane. Now, how can you say that against any of their roles? As they've all been playing well every week. Mint's bot lane just isn't losing, and Double Decker's bot lane has been playing well, but most weeks that one of the top triangle members have been really popping off, at least in the close games. So some slight concerns there, but you can say the exact same thing for Mint's top lane versus Double Decker's top lane, and we might have maybe a similar-ish kind of game plan as what we saw on stream as Mint and NOH. So no more rambling. I'm gonna go Mint 2-1. I'm gonna go an upset. And
Okay.
I think Double Decker is the better team. Like, if I was to predict who has a better chance of winning it all, I'd probably say Double Decker. But as Double Decker has just had an easier schedule up front compared to Mint, and Mint got some lessons learned after the NOH game, I just think they have a good opportunity to pull an upset. But either way, I think it's going to be a close, 2-1, regardless of who wins. But yeah, I thought I had something else to say, but I don't know. I'll disagree slightly. So 3 games, but we'll go Mint for the upset. What game are we streaming? It's WL versus NIP. Ninjas versus War Legion. And I mean, I don't know. Do I have it in me? To go War Legion? I haven't taken a game yet. And I think they've had 4 different lineups. Now, if they have the same lineup, and I don't know. I would expect they don't, because they used 2 subs, right? Or a sub and an E-sub or something.
I think an E-sub, right?
So
Yeah.
I'd expect them to use a different lineup compared to last week. And since the top lane was like an official roster change, I would probably say this is going to be their 5th lineup of the split. The Ninjas, I believe, have had the same lineup all split. So I would love to see War Legion win, just from a standpoint of keeping their playoff hopes very much alive. But I'm just gonna go. I'm gonna go Ninjas. I'm gonna go 2-0. I mean, I hate to see it, but I'm gonna go Ninjas 2-0.
All right. I'm gonna disagree with you on this one. I see it coming together. I see what happened last year. A very similar team with Sniper on it, with Joker on it. They had not won a game, and right before rosters locked, they changed some things around. They brought in some players. They ended up making playoffs. I I'm not going playoffs yet, but I like War Legion in this one. I think they had an E sub jungle. They were missing Joker, who is the reigning MVP. They brought in a top laner who I think looked pretty good. Lord Beach, that is, but didn't really have much time with the team. Now they're bringing the MVP back. They have it another week with Beach in the top lane. I'm gonna rock War Legion 2-1 here.
Okay, okay. It's not not impossible. I see. I see. Not impossible. We'll see if ninjas go into it thinking they have a free win. Then yeah, hey, I'd say it's possible. I'm gonna ride what makes more sense. I'm going with the Vegas line. So, um, but last but not least, you go ahead.
Yeah, I got this one. We got NOH versus Monkeys. I think this is going to be a good one. I think no, I think we got a lot of bangers this week actually. Some weeks it looks like, oh, everyone knows who's going to win. This is one of those weeks where I don't think that's the case. Uh, you know, before last week, I would have rocked NOH 2-0, but I think Monkeys really showed me something last week. I don't know if I can talk them into a win, but I'm gonna have them taking at least one game. Call me a kills believer right now, but that guy's playing really well. Got Astro Boy playing pretty well. Also, I think they're gonna take one, but I don't think they take the series. I'm going NOH 2-1.
Okay, 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 okay. It makes sense. Makes sense. Makes sense. I don't know. I don't know. Can I bet against NOH after we saw them win 2-0 against another top three team? Granted, you could say the last stream game was really close. Could have went either way. So, um, and Monkeys are getting some momentum. They're figuring some stuff out. Uh, if I was putting money on it, I'd probably copy and paste you. But since I think there is a solid chance on an upset, I'm gonna rock another upset. I'm gonna go Monkeys, but it's gonna be 2-1. NOH coming off a big win against Mint, but Monkeys having the momentum. Uh, Neither team really has like I'd say a weak link, so it might just come down. I mean, we saw some mistakes from NOH on stream, and Monkeys has the they have the game film. If they wish, they can see some stuff as far as how NOH played last week, but. Um, if it's in a 2-0 NOH, I'm not gonna say I'm gonna be surprised, but Monkeys just has they have a high hand. I'm gonna rock with them. It's gonna be an upset, 2-1.
Okay, I love it. Should be a lot of great matchups this week. Only one of those we agreed upon, so 3 out of the 4 series looking like they're going to be toss-ups.
True, true, true. Hopefully that's what we hope. I just hope all three. I don't think we've had a week yet where we've had all games go to game three. I don't even know if we've had a week where we have 3 games go to game three, but we'll see if we can get it this week. As agreed, we have some really close matchups, at least on paper. So uh, we'll have to see. And last but not least, um, if I can eventually find it, we'll see something a little different than last week. I think last week was the too early MVP race. This week, if it loaded incorrectly, we'll see what you think about my too early playoff prediction. Bracket, at least, I guess, is what you would say. Let's see what we got going on here. As if I were to just look into the crystal ball right now, how it's going to play out, I feel this is how it's going to go. Somehow, some way, NOH finds the number 1 seed. Double Decker still comes in the top 2. There's going to be a second seed, both of them getting buys. Predicting an MBN climb up to the 3rd seed with Mint at 4, Monkeys at 5, and Ninjas at 6. And then MBN taking first round, Mint taking first round, and then NOH and Double Decker. In for a couple people, it would be a kind of a rematch type situation between some of the players. But this is my way too early playoff prediction. What do you think?
Now, if I had to put money on it right now, I I might have some seeds different, but I think that those are the final 2 teams. I think those are the final 4 teams. Uh, I'm not sure if Ninjas is going to get in or not. I guess if I had to choose right now, I would choose them to get in. But I feel like War Legion might turn it around. I think Big Baller might refine the magic. It's going to be close for that 6th seed. I don't know that it will matter. I think whichever team gets in there is going to lose to in the first round, anyways. But uh, pretty good. I like these predictions. I think it's pretty solid. And like I said, I think those are the best two, and I think those are the best four. I think it would be hard to argue otherwise, at least at this moment. I know monkeys might have something to say about that, but they're gonna have to prove it on the Rift right now. It's a pretty clear to me top two, top four scenario.
Okay, okay. I will say I do think, as of right now, I think whoever gets the sixth seed gets 3-0'd in first round. Whoever that ends up being, and whoever they end up
Yeah.
playing at the third seed, I just think it feels right now. Some teams can figure something out, but it feels like there's a pretty big gap between like a third seed and a sixth seed, whoever that ends up being. Fourth and fifth, I mean, it depends on who it is, I guess. But even in this scenario, I kind of had as a coin toss, like a game five type thing. Um, and then both semis could go either way. Obviously, we just saw NOH win. Um, and I would probably even agree on what they would say in a 5-game series. Maybe it doesn't come down to that final game. Um, NOH, one of the teams that we know will fare very well in a 5-game series in the rivals draft. So NOH Mint, I definitely take Mint. Obviously, we just saw it. Double Decker versus MBN. This one was a tough one. This one was to me a game five to who gets to go to finals and potentially lose the NOH. But that one was a close one. It was tough. I almost picked MBN, but we'll a couple more weeks maybe, and this would change for me. But yeah, that's what we got. Just way too early. Just 3 weeks too early. Um, but yeah. All right. That's all I have for Rivals Runback week 4. Over halfway through split 4. Week 4, split 4. That makes sense. Yeah. Any parting words for you, Husky?
I mean, it's been fun. Hopefully, we didn't piss off too many people this week. I personally try to at least pick one guy that I'm going to really make upset by putting him eighth and tanking their power ranking. But you guys can figure out who that was this week. You know, if it was eighth, just be like, it's Husky's fault. He was just trying to troll me. It's fine. But yeah, no, it's been a good split. Looking forward to this week and future. Really like how everything's coming together, and I'm excited to see how it's going to end.
Yep. Same here. Last but not least, rosters lock on Saturday, I do believe. Um, I'll get to some of the point checks that people have sent me. That way you can make those decisions, I guess. And I guess last but not least, we'll see you on Sunday. Some stuff will come out this week. And don't forget to do your taxes, kids. All right. That's all we got.